So just go ahead and expect the pat down. She tugged on my ostomy bag and the other girl had to step in and was like, no, don't tug on her device. Hey you all, it's Amber from the Ostomy Diaries. Today we are going to talk about flying with an ostomy. Air travel can be kind of tricky with all the regulations when you have an ostomy bag. I just flew to Dallas for the HealtheVoices conference, so I want to share my experience, give y'all some tips, talk about what I learned and how you can make your next flight a little bit easier. So let's get to it. First things first, everyone's experience can be different at an airport. I'm just sharing what I learned and my tips. So to start off, I want to talk to you all about packing. I flew with American Airlines and I was able to take a checked bag, a carry-on bag, and by carry-on bag I mean the suitcase that you actually roll onto the plane and then you give to the stewardess and they store it for you. You don't actually keep that in your possession. And then I was able to take my purse. You can take a personal carry-on bag like a purse or a small backpack. I recommend packing ostomy supplies in all three of those bags. That way if something happens to one of them, you're not up the creek. You've got some backup in another suitcase. I also recommend packing at least one ostomy change, everything you need for one change for every day that you're going to be gone. So if you're gone for 5 days, pack at least 5 changes of ostomy supplies. My next tip for traveling is to print a TSA notification card. I'll put the link where you can find that on the screen and in the video description. These just let the TSA employee know that, hey, you've got something going on with a medical condition or medical device or something that they need to be aware of. This helps them. They want you to communicate with them. This lets them know, hey, something's up and I'm being upfront with you about it right from the get-go. So I printed this off and right when I was walking through security, you walk through the machine that you have to put your hands up and it scans you. I said, hey, I have an ostomy bag, and I just showed them this card and they're like, okay, thanks for telling us. So this says, I have the following health condition, disability, or medical device that may affect my screening, and then I just typed in ostomy bag. Now this is not a get out of jail free card, if that's what you want to call it. When they did my screening, they did see my ostomy bag and they're like, oh, you have something close to your groin, and I'm like, yeah, I told you I have an ostomy bag. So just go ahead and expect the pat down. I was nervous about this. Some of my friends warned me, when you're traveling, they're gonna pat you down because of your ostomy bag, but just go ahead and expect it. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna pat you down because they see that ostomy bag on there, and you know, you may want to get a little irritated, but keep in mind they're keeping you safe. They're keeping everybody on the plane safe. When I was flying out of Knoxville, it's a lot smaller of an airport, they did the pat down. It was fine. The girl made me feel totally comfortable. The international airport in Dallas-Fort Worth was a bit more intense. I actually got a TSA agent that was in training, so she was doing the pat down, and then another girl was standing there with her, kind of guiding her through it, and she tugged on my ostomy bag, and the other girl had to step in and was like, no, don't tug on her device. The pat down can be pretty intense depending on who's doing it and what airport you're at. So just be prepared for that, mentally prepare yourself for that, and just keep in mind that they're doing it for your safety. With that being said, I do want you to know your rights. You do have the right to a private screening. They don't have to screen you and pat you down right there in public in front of everyone if you're not comfortable with that. When I walked through, they were so friendly. They said, hey, do you want a private screening for this? And I was like, no, it's okay. And they just patted me down. They swiped through the top of my pants, right where I buttoned my pants together, just kind of outlined it, making sure there was nothing there. And then I did have to rub my hands on my ostomy bag, and then they rubbed the cloth on my hands and put that in a machine just to make sure there was no dangerous material. They can tell by just wiping that on your hands and then putting that in a machine. With all of that being said, get there early. I called ahead of time and asked American Airlines, hey, how early should I arrive for my flight? And they said an hour and a half to 2 hours. And I was thinking, that's a long time to be waiting in the airport. And going through Knoxville, because it was so small and I left at 6 in the morning, the security check did not take as long. I mean, it basically took 10 to 15 minutes, but going through Dallas-Fort Worth, it took a lot longer. There was a big line. It depends on what time you're flying out in the day as well, so it's a long time to be in an airport, but I do recommend getting there an hour and a half to 2 hours early. That way, if there are any hang-ups or there's a big line, then you getting screened isn't going to make you late for your flight because you've allowed time for that. Back to your personal bag that you can take on the plane, like a purse or a small backpack. When you're going through security, you have to put that in a bin and they scan it. You have to take everything out of your pockets, this, that, and the other. You can see all those regulations on TSA's website. But I do want to recommend keep your Ostomy To Go kit in a smaller pouch. I can put a picture of something that I use on the screen. Keep something like this in your purse or your backpack with at least one change of ostomy supplies in it. I did have my ostomy scissors in my little to-go kit there, rounded on the end, but I did have the scissors in there. Also, there's some regulations on liquids. I use this 3M Cavalon No Sting Barrier Spray. This is like a travel size. Any liquid that is in your personal bag that you're taking on or in your to-go kit has to be travel size. TSA requires that it's 100 milliliters or less, and for reference, this is 28 milliliters, so this was totally fine. I was able to put this in my to-go kit, in my personal bag, and be able to take it on the plane. But when you're putting your stuff in the bin, take that to-go pouch out of your purse or out of your backpack, unzip it and lay it in the bin. That just lets them know, hey, I'm being upfront about this. I've got medical devices in there, medical supplies, whatever you're taking with you, and that really helps the process just to go a lot smoother and quicker. Another tip I want to give you all is get hydrated before you go to the airport. On my way to the airport, I was drinking fluids. I drink one of these every single day. So it was about a 45-minute drive to the airport. I drank one of these on my way to just get good and hydrated because I know they offer some drinks on the plane, but some of it's soda and stuff, and I just wanted to make sure that I was ready to go and hydrated before. You can take one of these on the plane with you. It has to be unopened and it still has to have the seal, and you have to tell the TSA agent. What I said was, I suffer with chronic dehydration. This is medically necessary. You have to say medically necessary. That was actually a tip that the TSA agent in Knoxville gave me because I had one, it was unopened, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to throw this away. And he said, well, if you really need one on your way home, make sure it's not opened and just tell them this is medically necessary because I suffer with dehydration. Do be advised, they have to scan this through their machine to make sure it's safe and that it really is vitamin water or whatever you're taking on the plane. And if it doesn't pass that screening for whatever reason, sometimes things happen, they do have the right to take it away. But if you want to take something unopened and say it's medically necessary, they can screen it and you can take it on the plane with you like I did. Overall, I had a really great experience at both airports. It wasn't as nerve-wracking as I thought it was going to be. It was a little irritating that, hey, I got stopped. I had to get patted down over something that's not my fault. But just communicate with the TSA agents. Let them know what's going on with you. Be like, hey, I have a medical device. It's an ostomy bag. Be upfront with them. That's going to help it go smoother if you're just upfront and honest and say, hey, I have this going on. And I know it's hard. You're tired when you're traveling. You may have had a long day, but keep in mind, they're keeping you safe and they're keeping everybody else on the plane safe. If y'all have any questions about my air travel and flying with an ostomy, feel free to leave them below. Let me know what tips you might have. Leave them in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. If you haven't done so yet, check me out on social media at Ostomy Diaries and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my videos coming out next. So I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye!